Castle, Elementary, Prodigal Son, Blind Spot, NYPD Blue, Blue Bloods, White Collar, Cagney and Lacey, Person of Interest, FBI, FBI Most Wanted, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Organized Crime, Law and Order Digital. Okay, I made the last one up. What do all these shows have in common? They are all police procedural TV shows set in New York City. According to television, in New York, they do a lot of murdering. So you'd think New York is the murder capital of America, right? Right? Wrong. That dishonor goes to New Orleans, St. Louis, Detroit, and Memphis. See what city is glaringly missing from this list? For New York City to be the murder-infested metropolis that's portrayed on our screens, we'd have to go all the way back to the 1980s and 1990s when the crack epidemic raged and the mafia was in its prime. The stats prove it. The New York City of today is a lot safer than it was back then. Now, of course, that doesn't mean there's no murder. It is, after all, a really big city with almost 9 million people. But does it warrant so many cop shows existing in one place? So, if NYC has been relatively safer over the last 2 decades, why then are so many shows about murder based there? There are a few reasons. New York is globally identifiable without a whole lot of effort on the part of show creators. Think about it. What city in the world has the most iconic skyline or visual markers? It's so easy to establish the location because we're also aware of New York City, and our idea of it has been imprinted on our minds probably since childhood. All you really need is a few seconds of establishing shots showing skyscrapers, bridges, and people immediately know where the show is set. A shot of the Statue of Liberty here and a shot of the Empire State Building there does a lot of heavy lifting in establishing the location of the shows. In 2022, the city with the most murders was New Orleans, and of course, it's a well-known American city, but translating its vibe quickly on screen is quite hard to do. A well-known city like New York City is something international audiences are already aware of on some level. New York cop shows bank on the decades of familiarity most of us have with it, while also driving home the fact that it's a city that holds a lot of secrets. Chicago is an interesting juxtaposition because it has been known in recent years for a high murder rate, but there's currently one police procedural set there. It's a famous city, but again, not as instantly familiar to us as New York. Remember, network TV storytelling, especially in procedurals, is all about efficiency. You want to establish things and get to the case of the week as quickly as possible. New York is without a doubt America's most famous city. From opening credits of Friends and Sex and the City to songs like New York State of Mind, New York, Welcome to New York, Empire State of Mind, our idea of the city is so deeply ingrained in our collective psyche that it feels like we've already been there. New York's massive diversity and extreme melting pot environment means writing interesting stories is a lot easier. There's a deep well of culture, commerce, characters that's not hard for writers to fish from. You can base each episode and case of the week on different things, from Wall Street and Broadway to fashion, music and television, and many other facets of human life. New York is the birthplace of hip-hop, home of the stock market, home of Broadway, the mafia's base of operation, and the city so many immigrants started their American journey in. All these factors make it amazing for writing intriguing stories, and it's also fast-paced enough for there to be a ton of things happening all the time, like murder. With its history, architecture, vibe, and population, New York City is a character in its own right. It becomes a very powerful storytelling device because of all that it has to offer. The grittiness of the city can be applied to the crimes committed there, the glamour, elegance, and wealth can be juxtaposed with the brutality of a murder, and the different types of people in the city make for interesting characters, stories, and motives.
8 million stories out there in the nation.
Many people move to NYC to make it, and that can make for vicious murderers or tragic victims cut down just as they are about to make it big. It's not hard to imagine it as a dangerous place to live. And finally, New York City is one of the most densely populated cities in America, with over 8.4 million residents living in its 305 square miles. One could imagine that having that many people in one place can exacerbate conflict and create motives for crime and murder. New York is the easiest place to set a crime show. There's a rich tapestry of culture to pull gripping stories from, and it's identifiable to a global audience. It might not be the most deadly city in America anymore, but it's definitely the most well-known. The confluence of culture, diversity, population density, familiarity, ambition, and money provide the perfect breeding ground for easy, effective, and efficient procedural storytelling.